folks are counting down the minutes here. It's such a pleasure to welcome all of you to Wayland High School. My name is Allison Mizuguchi. I'm the principal here, and in just a few short minutes, I'll be introducing really wonderful members of our leadership team as well, who will offer their guidance and expertise throughout the evening. A couple notes of introduction about me. First of all, I've been here for a very long time as a teacher, assistant principal, and principal. This is my 10th year as principal. I will share with you that I have multiple hats that I'm juggling right now. One of them is former teacher, and I think this is the first night that I have two former students who are here as parents of rising 9th graders. Yikes is all I have to say. So it's Elise and Jen, who I taught as 9th and 10th graders maybe, way back in the late 90s, so this is a full circle moment for me, definitely. And some of you also know that my own son is a member of this class, so I have a lot of emotional connection to all of you and your experience, and want to ensure, as does my entire team, that your experience here at the high school as caregivers and that the experience of your children is a momentous one. So here's one little glitch, is that I will be giving a signal to our incredible tech guru, Carlin Gruber, in the back, because we have a disconnect between the slides and the human being up here. So I'm going to say something like next slide or give a little wave, and then Carlin will know what to do. So my brain actually needs to, like, I'm doing this and that and all these things. Okay, anyway. So here's what we're doing tonight. And we have fashioned an evening that is purposely designed to give you an overview of Wayland High School. We want to make sure that you walk away with a sense of who we are, what we're about, the general themes of your students' experiences. We will give you some details around their experience, of course. We will also be giving you a tour. Our students will be giving you a tour so you get a sense of the space that your students will be occupying for the next 4 years. And then we will also offer you opportunities to speak with our department heads and instructional leadership team members who will be stationed in the Commons, which is what we call our cafeteria. We will all be done by about 8:15, 8:30, but that is not where the conversation ends, of course. We are now sort of beginning that handshake between the middle school and high school, with constant communication between our counseling office, special education office, and the admin office, making sure that your students land smoothly and well when they come to the high school. Next slide, please, Carlin. So to give you just an overview, here are sort of the words that come to mind for us as far as who we are. We are driven by a set of very, very deep values about student learning, about what students are, what we want to create for them, and we want to create a wonderful and open future for them. One where there's risk-taking involved, where mistakes might be made. Actually, sometimes we hope mistakes are made here before they head on out of the high school. We are very student-centered, so I like to say that all of the decisions that we make are based on what is best for students. And sometimes we disagree about that, but that is our guiding light around how we lead and how we guide our students. We are a rigorous high school. We are not ashamed of the fact that we want to offer our students a rigorous, challenging academic experience where they are gathering skills, learning how to think good thoughts, learning how to exchange good debate with their peers and with the adults in their lives, and we couple that with a whole lot of support that we think is appropriate for the students and that changes over the course of their 4 years here. Next slide, please, Carlin. Here's our mission statement, which is actually currently our district mission statement, and I only offer this to you as the underpinning of our work. We are big believers in civic responsibility. We want to foster a love of learning, and here at the high school, students will have an opportunity to explore a breadth and depth of course offerings. We want to instill empathy for others and our students in their learning process. As I said before, we want to stimulate them. We want to offer rigorous academic experiences for all of our students, and we also want to instill character, collaboration, conscientious civic responsibility with our students as well. And the last piece is striving to create a climate where risk-taking is safeguarded, open expression is encouraged, and free association is is protected. Next slide, please, Carlin. I did want to note that our efforts around diversity and inclusion at Wayland High School take a number of different forms and fashions, and even as you walk through our spaces this evening, you will see hopefully representation of our values around this area. In terms of student voice, we aim to give students an opportunity to share and use their voices, representing a range of different identities. We have a robust METCO program, which includes a full-time METCO coordinator here, Mr. Mark Lydell, and creating opportunities for our students who reside in Boston to be fully involved in our programs here, including our extracurricular activities. And then, of course, in the classroom, whose voices are heard, whose voices are represented in the curriculum. These are all critical questions that we as educators are asking ourselves as we strive to create a safe, supportive environment that truly supports diversity and inclusion. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Ben Buffa, who is the head of our counseling department, who will go through a few more slides describing some of the supports for our students. Also, who will be coming up to the stage following them are my two amazing assistant principals, Mr. Sean Gass and Ms. Laura Cole. But to start it off, I'll turn it over to Ben.
Thank you, Carol. So my name is Ben Buffa. I'm the head of the counseling department. This is my 14th year at the high school. I've been a counselor throughout, and I'm really enjoying this kind of first year as the department head. What I'm going to talk to you about tonight is really some of the supports that we put in place to help students make this transition over the next year. And it really actually starts on Monday. Counselors will be heading down to the middle school to meet with your students during math classes. We'll bring peer mentors along with us too, because we know that your kids would much rather hear from them than from us. So really what we're doing is talking about the transition to high school, course selection, extracurriculars, and really just some other nuts and bolts items that the kids need to start wrapping their heads around as they're making the transition to the high school. We cover a lot of information, and we only have them for about an hour each, so we remind students that they don't have to remember everything after that day. This is the first step in a number of steps throughout the next 6 months or so, but we will be helping them again make that transition to the high school. As Dr. Mizuguchi mentioned, we will also be meeting with the 8th grade counselor throughout this spring. Counselors will meet with her and we'll be discussing our caseloads that we're taking on, talking about students, and LRT liaisons will be doing the same thing throughout the spring. Over the summer, we do have a summer bridge program that has run over the past couple years in a couple different iterations. We're not 100% sure what that's going to look like this year, but we are hoping to be able to offer some sort of program so that some students are able to kind of ramp up into the school year before it begins. And then the last day of school, I'm not sure exactly, June 18th or 17th, something around there, and then also on August 31st, we will have step over day, and then we'll have 9th grade orientation. And those days look pretty similar. It's a chance for students to come on campus to kind of meet some key figures, hear our spiel. We have peer mentors that give them campus tours on that day. And it's a whirlwind kind of day. It's pretty common that when kids leave and parents ask them, what'd you learn, how was your day? A lot of kids don't remember all that much because it is a lot going on in a short amount of time. But it's a great opportunity again for them to kind of get their feet on campus, kind of see what everything looks like, have tours from the upperclassmen, and kind of get a sense of what the campus feels like before school starts. And then September 5th, that's when school begins. Carlin, next slide. Thank you. So as Dr. Mizuguchi mentioned, this is a rigorous high school, but there are so many opportunities, not only classes, but also extracurriculars. We know kids are coming in with a lot of excitement, but also a lot of nerves. And it can be a really big transition, especially over those first few months. So in addition to the transition support that we provide over the coming months in the spring and the early summer, we also will provide a number of supports throughout their 9th grade year to help make sure that they've successfully made the transition. Next slide. So it all kind of starts off with school counselors in the 9th grade seminars. So your students will all have a counselor, and they will stay with that counselor for all 4 years. It's a really nice thing. It helps us really kind of get to know students over a long time and really form really solid relationships with them. Counselors will also be leading 9th grade seminars, and we try really hard to put students in with their own counselors in those seminars. We can't always do that because sometimes the schedule prohibits that, but we all cover similar topics, and again, we're talking about transition to the high school information, we're talking about the schedule, lunches, we're talking about club fare, getting involved. We talk about how to access supports around the high school. We're fortunate to have a lot of different supports around the high school. So we talk to students about identifying those, how to access those supports. We also have an advisory program. And again, this is a newer thing we're doing with the caregiver conferences, but your child will have an advisor. They'll actually have 2 advisors. Those advisors will stay with your child for all 4 years, and they'll meet in small groups Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday every week. It's a very kind of short, brief block, but it gives students another chance to develop a relationship with a faculty member, and that, I think, is one of our big goals at the high school, is making sure that every student has at least one trusted adult in their corner that they can go to in their time of need. So that's a really great program, and again, you'll hear more about the caregiver conferences, but there will be 2 of those in the fall and then 2 of those in the spring. We actually just wrapped those up last week. So that's another great opportunity to share information, to get to know your child's advisor, and to, again, just assist with the overall transition to high school. Then we have study halls, and this is, again, one of the things we talk about in 9th grade seminar is this idea of freedom and responsibility. One of the reasons our students are so well prepared when they launch out of here, part of it's the academic rigor, but part of it is that they've had independence every year. They've had freedom, and then they've had responsibility that comes with that. We talk to them about how you become independent by practicing independence, and as Dr. Mizuguchi mentioned, sometimes kids learn by making the wrong choices, not doing the right things, but when our kids launch out of here, whether that's college or the workforce, they are very well prepared for what's to come next because they've had a lot of experience with that. So it can create some headaches for us, for you, that's a thing, but all in all, it's a really, really important part of the kind of philosophy of our high school. And then students after the first half of the year are able to earn their way out of study halls, so they can actually have free blocks as long as they have certain grades at a certain level and no serious attendance issues. So that's another thing we talk to students about. And then the Academic Support Center is a really wonderful resource that we have at the high school. It's located in the library, kind of in a separate room in the back corner of the library. There are tutors in there, there's peer tutors, there's teachers that offer tutoring blocks, and then Ms. Lima and Mr. Wilson, the TA in that room, provide kind of executive functioning, organization, time management, support of that nature. So it's a really great general population support that we have available at the high school. In addition to that, Ms. Lima will also teach a couple study skills sessions during our 9th grade seminars. So that's another way that she kind of gets involved with our students. And then again, teachers are there too, right? And we really encourage students to kind of develop relationships with their teachers, to see them during free blocks if they need extra help, because again, we have a really amazing group of teachers at the high school. It's really an honor to work with such an amazing faculty. And these teachers, they bend over backwards to support their students, and so we really try to help make sure that students know how to connect to them, are comfortable reaching out, because it's a wonderful support. So, and the last support, and perhaps the most important that I didn't mention, Carlin, you can go to the last slide. So this is our therapy dog, Ruff. Ruff is my dog, actually, my family's dog. He's new to our school this year. He was trained at the end of last year. He just turned 2 in December. And for any of you, if you have older kids in the high school, you might know Gruff. He's a really, really sweet dog. He's a little bit of a wimp. We're working on that, but he's a really, really sweet, gentle, kind dog. He's available in the counseling office 3 to 4 days a week. And students, teachers come down and see him, and we even have a number of parents that will stop by because they heard about the dog and they want to meet him. So you're all welcome to do that if you like. Just make sure you sign in at the main office first. So that's my role. Again, we are really excited about welcoming your students to the high school next year. We will get to know you more over the coming months, but if you ever have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Next up, Laura Cole.
Next slide. All right, so a day in the life at Wayland High School. I joke around that it starts really early here. Kids are on campus as early as 6:30 because our fitness center opens at 6:30 and they want to work out before school. That's definitely something that older kids do because they can drive to campus, right? But around 7:30 is when our buildings start to open. But 8:30 is when school starts. I want to say that because it's one thing that we're working on. 8:30 is when the bell rings for warning, and at 8:35 you should be in class. So their day gets started at 8:35. Our rotation, we're going to show you a picture in the next slide. Don't go yet because it's overwhelming. So I want to explain it a little bit, okay? This is the rotation. It's overwhelming, but I'm telling you, within a week, the 9th graders get it, and they know where they're supposed to be. It is really simple. It's an 8-day cycle, 6 periods, and it rotates. The morning classes rotate, and the afternoons rotate. So I always joke and say this looks overwhelming, and it is, because that's the truth. But I'm telling you, within a week, they know it, because I still struggle to know it, but they got it. But students typically will carry 6 classes. I say that and that sounds overwhelming, but what happens is because of the cycle drops and because not all the electives meet within that, they will have a study hall built into their day, or probably 3 or 4 built in like to their cycle, and 2, if they decide the first semester not to take elective, they could have more. Can you go to the next slide, Carlin? All right, so what do 9th graders report? So I think Mr. Buffa mentioned that the administrators, we go into seminars for the first semester and first quarter and meet with students. And with the 9th graders, we spend time asking them really like, what has it been like? So these are the main themes, and if you've had students go through here, I'm sure this isn't new to you. But they're gonna report freedom and independence. This is a large campus, it's an open campus. They're gonna be walking from building to building. They have their cell phones on them during the day. And also too, they're starting to navigate a lot more academic freedom in how to take responsibility for your homework, tracking your assignments. This week, I heard that every student in 8th grade is signed on to their home access center, so they all have their accounts. I'm gonna say home access center a few times. Home access center is our main driver for kids to manage themselves. So that's where their classwork is, that's where their grades are updated, that's where their attendance is. So that's a mechanism that we really use to support them in this transition. So talk to them about Home Access Center, and I will be in the comments after this if you want to talk to me about Home Access Center or Mr. Gass, because we love talking about Home Access Center. Along with this freedom and independence though, and as Dr. Mizuguchi mentioned, there is an academic increase in their load. And with the study halls, we really are trying to teach them to manage their time during the school day, to meet with teachers, to get homework done, to get extra time on tests if that's what they need, to meet with a peer tutor in the academic center, and we will be shepherding them and keeping an eye on them. So if your student's not in the academic center, and around quarter 1 we're noticing their grades are a little low, you might get a reach out from me or Ms. Leem or their counselor saying the academic center might be a great place for them. So that's just another support we have. The good stuff that they're going to love is the increased activities and the independence and self-initiative that they start to take. Kids here are involved. There is tons of clubs. Mr. Gass is going to talk plenty about that, so I don't want to take his spotlight. But there's tons of clubs for your students to get involved. In September, and we'll remind you of this, there's a club fair during the school day. Every club set up and it's recruiting and is a great way for your student to get involved. Really encourage them in 9th grade to sign up for at least one club. One club, participate in one sport. They're going to do it, but if you need help with us pushing them, please reach out to the counselor or myself and we can help with that. But these are the main themes that you're going to see your students in the transition. And some may struggle, and if they do, there's a ton of supports here at the school to help you, so just reach out to me or their counselor. And I don't think we mentioned this. So I'm going to be the assistant principal that is assigned to your class. So I'll be shepherding this class through for the next 4 years, making sure that they all get to June 2028. Okay? All right, so next we have Mr. Gass.
Okay, so up until this point, this is the first time you've seen all of us here in person, maybe. And you've probably been getting a lot of communication from the 8th grade, a lot of different people that have been speaking with you about what's coming up next. We wanted to give you a little heads up about who the important people are that you're going to be in contact with for your student. The great thing here at this high school is every kid has a team that works with them. They have a counselor, they have an assistant principal, they may have a liaison, they may have a METCO coordinator, they've got their whole teacher team, they've got their advisor. It actually sounds a little overwhelming when I list all those people off, but it's great because they are all resources for your students. So we want to give you a quick heads up about who to contact and when. The first really important people for you to be able to contact are the school counselor, your student's counselor. And so you contact your student's counselor if you have any concerns overall about your student, particularly about anything that is affecting them outside of school that you'd like to let us know about. Your counselor is also the point person to talk to about future planning and scheduling. So you want to talk with counselors about what classes might be the right fit for your student, where they would like to go in 5 years, what they'd like to be doing, what they're thinking about for their future. And also if they're having any emotional issues, any kind of social issues, the counselor is always a great place to start. So that's who to speak to in terms of counseling. Counselors, I can't emphasize this enough. Reach out to counselors and encourage your students to reach out to counselors and build that relationship early on. They're going to be a very important person in your student's life over the next 4 years. Next slide, Carmen. So the other folks that are on your student's team and that are here at the high school that we want you to know about, first of all, are teachers. Contacting teachers is incredibly important. Definitely reach out to teachers if you have any questions about a particular class, about what's going on in a class. You're going to reach out to the main office for all sorts of administrative tasks. So if you have an attendance issue, if you're buying a parking pass later on, turning in your health forms early in the year, any administrative tasks, you're going to reach out to the main office. The department head, and you're going to meet all of them here today, the department heads are another big resource for you and for your student. The department head is a person that you would talk to if you have any questions about vertical alignment of classes and where the curriculum is going. How does anatomy and physiology fit in with the biology class in 9th grade? The department heads are the people to talk to about that. They're also important people to talk to about what class levels look like at different grade levels. So if you're interested in what the difference between an honors level class and a college level class is, then you might reach out to the department head at that time too. And then finally, administrators. We are here for everything else, and we're often copied on everything, so we love that. Please reach out to administrators. As Ms. Cole mentioned, Laura Cole is going to be attached to your grade level over the course of the next 4 years. We work as a team though, so we're always kind of working with each other. And so reach out to an administrator, reach out to Laura, and reach out to Allison as your first administrators. And then I might get involved as well, depending on what the situation is. Next slide, Pat. All right, I wanted to share quickly about our peer mediation program here at the high school. This is something that is in its 2nd year this year, and it's been a successful program that your kids will learn about and might become involved in. Some of them might be interested in being peer mediators. One of the things that we work on a lot here at the high school is learning how to resolve conflict. And so peer mediation is a program where we've trained 15 to 20. This year we have 16, but between 15 and 20 students to actually mediate conflicts amongst their peers in a structured environment with supervision. And students might take part in mediation for a whole different host of reasons. It might be a minor conflict in a class. It might be a long-term kind of friend group conflict. It might be something that happened online. There could be a lot of different ways. But we want students to be able to resolve conflicts together, and we don't want those conflicts to get in the way of their learning. So students might take part in mediations for those reasons. We also hope that your students consider wanting to be a mediator at some point. It's an awesome skill set to have. So we just like to share this program a little bit when you guys come in for the first time. All right, next slide, Carla. Okay, so Laura mentioned clubs. We have an amazing number of clubs at the high school. Every day here, she mentioned the fitness center starting at 6:30. We also go until 9:30, sometimes 11, with students here in the building. We have more than 50 student clubs that are active right now. Some of them are intensely active. If you go over to our library this time of year, in the evening, you'll find robots like picking things up and moving them around, fighting each other. It's quite intense. Like earlier in the year, you would hear mock trials going on, the debate team. It's very intense. There's an amazing set of clubs that are here at the high school. So whatever your kid is interested in, I guarantee we have something that can try and meet their interest. If but I take that back. If there's something that they are interested in and we don't have it, then we encourage kids to start their own clubs. I'm trying to find kids to start a mountain biking club because that's what I would like to start doing after school. So if your kids are into mountain biking, please let me know. We do really encourage you to try and connect with your counselor, connect with some teachers, connect with an administrator, and see what clubs are out there to get your kids involved in. Those points of connection equal success in 9th grade and throughout high school. Like the more points of connection that kids have, the better off, the more fun they have here, and the more they want to be here. Okay, so we have tons and tons of clubs. Carla, next slide. This is I shouldn't be up here talking about this. It should be Heath Rollins, who's our athletic director, but he wasn't able to be here tonight. But we also have an amazing athletics program here at the high school. We have 63 sports teams that are active here at the high school. And we really encourage folks, I think, please correct me if I'm wrong, I think, is it 60% or is it 70% of our students take part in a sport?
I think it's 70.
It's more towards 70. So 70% of our students are taking part in a sport over the course of the year. Very, very active sports program, and again, please consider taking part if you're not already involved. All right, that is it for me. Thank you very much. Allison is going to come back up and talk about our technology.
All right. Last few slides, and we'll get you on your feet. All right, so the next piece is really about the technology that we're going to hand your students at the end of the summer as part of orientation. All of our students have a MacBook Air that is school issued, that is a vital tool in their learning. Part of our responsibility is also teaching them how to use it responsibly, and we also always encourage your partnership in helping guide students to use that technology. A lot of our teachers, if not all of them, use Google Classroom as their primary platform, and obviously these machines are incredibly powerful and instill a lot of creativity and intellectual activity as well. Next slide, please. A plug for our many ways for parents to get involved here at the high school. Similar to the middle school, we have a robust boosters, PTO, and CAPA organization. And some of them actually will be available for chatting in the comments after this presentation. I do encourage you to lend a hand in ways that are meaningful for you to our high school community. And then our high school leadership team, many of whom are here this evening, and I hope I don't embarrass them by asking them to stand and turn around. So I guess next slide, Carolyn, thank you so much. So what's going to happen after the tours is our leaders will be in the comments, as I said, asking or inviting you to ask them questions and engage in conversation. At this point, if I could just have each of them sort of stand up and wave. So if you're thinking, I have a really important question for the English department chair, who is that person? It's Peter Corrales, who's going to stand up right now and turn around and wave at you. Susan Memley, our fine arts director, couldn't be here, but Veronique Latimer, one of our visual arts teachers, is here and will be available for questions. You've met Ben Buffa, our counseling department chair. Mr. Dave Schmier is our department chair of social studies and business. Mark Lefebvre, who is our instructional technology specialist, couldn't be here. You will meet him at some point. He is a force. I'm sure you will meet him. We are lucky to have our library teacher here this evening, Ms. Jennifer McGillis, who will be in the library, so please feel free to explore and check out such a beautiful display of books. Our mathematics department chair, Shanley Heller, is also here. Perfect. As I mentioned, our METCO coordinator is Mark Lydell, who is not here this evening. However, I will say we are having an event for our Boston families next Tuesday evening, so more information for those of you who reside in Boston. Our science department chair is Mr. Bill Bobrowski here. Welcome, Bill. Amanda White is our special education department chair in the green here. Our wellness department chair, K-12 actually, is Scott Parsagian, who is right here. Elena Getty is our World Languages Department Chair, who's right here. And you've met Laura and Sean. I'd also like to introduce our Academic Support Center Coordinator, Ms. Amy Lima, who will be available for questioning regarding any sorts of academic supports and interventions that we have available here for our students. And also I'd like to introduce Hayes Hart-Thompson, who is our Innovation Coordinator and Teacher, and Hayes will be in the Makerspace, which we called WELD, which will hopefully be a stop on your tour, so you can learn more about our Innovation Pathways program. I'm also pleased to introduce two of our school counselors who were generous enough to be this evening. I saw Dennis Doherty, who is here as well, and Mr. Jim Gerard is here, and they will be available at a...
Jen and Sarah here too.
And Jen and Sarah here as well. So our school counseling team is well represented and will be available in the comments afterwards if you'd like to chat with them. All right, so I think we are going to send you on your way, but I'd like to say a couple of things kind of a logistical nature. So you will be receiving, in terms of the whole scheduling process and sort of, geez, what is my 8th grade student going to be taking course-wise at Wayland High School next year? The middle school teachers right now are making recommendations for their students, and that is a process that is very much aligned with the high school timeline as well. So right now at the high school, our teachers are making recommendations for their current students, and that recommendation process relies on Home Access Center. There's that word again, HAC. So middle school teachers are making the recommendations. The important thing for all of you to be aware of is that on April 1st, the portal will open so that you, as parents and guardians, can see what those recommendations are, none of which should be a surprise to any of you, but a good place to have that conversation with your students about their academic recommendations. It's also the opportunity for you and your student to think about what elective courses you'd like to request, and so you add them into that portal. We will be emailing you all complete directions about what this process looks like. But really the April 1st date is for you to be thinking about, and there's about 11 days, it's about a week and a half, when you will have an opportunity to go into the portal, check out those recommendations, and add the course electives that are interesting to you. I do know that, as Ben said, we'll be having communication with the students, with their 8th graders, about that process, and I know that our fine arts staff has gone to the middle school as well to offer information about some of the fine arts offerings for our rising 9th graders. I think we are, what am I missing?
You mentioned people could ask questions of the department heads out there, and we are also going to be out there for counseling, for scheduling questions as well.
Perfect. Okay, so one of the things we wanted to give all of you an opportunity to do tonight also is if you would like support creating your home access account, you probably already have a HAC account, but if you don't, Laura, Sean, and I will be available in the commons and talking you through any other kind of logistical scheduling issues that you might have. It's our understanding, as Laura mentioned, that the 8th graders yesterday created their own HAC accounts, which is really important so that they begin to become acclimated to that system. They're not going to overuse it as 8th graders. It's really just sort of a tiny step into using that portal, and it'll be really something that we support them as they increase their usage when they become officially high schoolers, okay? So we have some peer mentors who are going to come and pick up some folks, right?
Well, I can't. We were going to bring them out there, but you want to bring them over here? I can have them over. Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to have parents meet them over by the doors over here, remember?
Right.
I can have
I
them
wonder, yeah.
Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah, so we're going to have some kids come on over here and pick up some teams of parents. Perfect. And now we'll just awkwardly have a 2-second pause here. Okay. All right, can I have is this your first time here at Wayland High School? Raise your hands, please, if this is your first time ever,